First, I want to start by you should have gotten back your 2.1.5 projects. These didn't go the greatest. There was a couple of you guys that didn't submit them at all, and a lot of you forgot a lot of parts for the project. Again, I reminded you everything that you needed to submit is included in this grading rubric that I attached. So you should have had no questions on what you needed to submit and how many points that was worth. Again, a lot of you forgot to mention who your partner was, so thankfully I had recorded that already. So if you didn't submit anything and you or your partner didn't mention that you were working together, I did have a list and was able to still give you points for that. Any type of group project, again, I need you to tell me I'm submitting for person A and person B so that I don't grade it incorrectly. I graded everything in Google Classroom according to this rubric, and then I transferred those scores to PowerSchool. If you notice some discrepancy between your grade in Classroom and PowerSchool, please let me know, and I can go double check. I might have made a mistake transferring them, but just please let me know. So again, we are done with Unit 2.1. We've been working on Unit 2.2. We started, this whole unit is kind of about reverse engineering and product disassembly, figuring out how things work. So we talked about what is reverse engineering. We did a visual analysis. It's a little different than you guys might have done before or expect from engineering. What we're going to do today is more along the lines of what you think of in engineering, but it's a functional analysis. So what I need you guys to do, I will go through my PLTW with you, but it would be best if you guys also get this out and follow along with me. The main purpose today is really right here. Perform a functional analysis of a product system, and it's to determine the purpose of that product, the inputs and outputs of that product, and then the operation, so how it works. What we're going to do today is look at functional analysis. Again, there's a lot of definitions embedded in my PLTW. It's a step in the reverse engineering process. We're identifying things that you have to do and components and systems that have to work to create some output, right? Every product is meant to do something. That's the output. The functional analysis is to figure out what is it actually doing to get there, and kind of investigating how it does that. Most of you have probably heard of this expression. This expression, form follows function. Sometimes there's a lot of confusion on what that means. It's actually a design principle. There's two ways to look at it. The first one I want to talk about is a prescriptive interpretation. This is like the word prescription, meaning something that you should do. In that interpretation, form follows function means that you need to look at function first, and after that you can look at the form or the shape or the aesthetic of a product. That means to say that an engineer should focus on their design working properly, how it works, what it does it accomplish its goal. After that has been taken care of, then the engineer can consider how it looks, how it's designed, how it appears. So that's one interpretation of this expression and design principle, form follows function. Another one is descriptive. This one is very similar but different in its intention. This is saying that when you focus on function and make something to work properly, it becomes beautiful or it becomes aesthetically pleasing. It means that if you do function, if you accomplish this, form will follow after as a natural result. So those are two different interpretations of this expression and design principle, but they mean different but similar ideas. That's something that we're going to look in now. We just got done with the visual analysis. That was all about the aesthetics, how something looked. not really how something functioned. Well, this we're going to talk about kind of both. We're going to visually inspect something at a basic level in order to interpret its function, to complete a functional analysis. So what we're going to be doing today is, together, we're going to walk through a functional analysis of a coffee maker. One thing that we're introducing is something called a black box model. A lot of you have probably heard of a black box. The biggest one, especially in the news, is with airplanes. They all have something called a black box. This is something that if a crash happens, they go find the black box. What the black box does is records all the inputs from the plane, all the data that can be analyzed to see why it crashed. That was the output, the result that shouldn't have happened. The black box represents a mystery. They don't know how it happened. All it recorded was data that came in and resulted that there was an impact. The black box is an idea that represents there's some mysterious function going on. I know what it's doing, but I have no idea how or why. So that's something that we're going to use today to think about things that go into a product. It's doing something, we don't know how, but it's outputting something. It's accomplishing some task. So that's a piece that we're going to look in today. What I need you guys all to do is go to Classroom, and you'll find 2.2.3. Each of you should be able to open this link, and it should create a Google Doc individually for you. We are going to complete this together. So the first step is writing down the brand and the model of our coffee maker that we are going to do a functional analysis of together. So, company name, it's Brentwood, they're the manufacturer. It's asking for the product name. Well, the product we're looking at is this TS112R Red Single Cup Coffee Maker. So you all each need to record that in your 2.2.3 document. What I each want you to take some time now is think about what is the purpose, the primary function, the goal of an automatic coffee maker. I need you guys to each take time and put that in this box right here. In your own words, you need to tell me, what is the purpose of this coffee maker? What's its goal? I want you to pay attention and notice PLTW is kind to you. They make sure you're on the right track. You can check how your answer compares to their full-fledged answer. It's pretty simple, but to be specific, it's to brew a single cup of hot coffee using coffee grounds and water. That is our overall goal, the overall primary function of this product. Now, they have already created a sketch for us, and they've actually labeled the different parts of the product. Right? The vent at the top lets steam escape. This is a big lid that's hinged and opens, allows access to the water and the coffee. It has a curved aesthetic design. The housing that contains all the internal parts adds a visual element. There's the coffee dispenser itself. It has coffee and a filter. It allows the water and coffee to mix, and it dispenses it into a mug. There's a base or a platform, provides non-slip grip. There's a switch on the back side of the coffee maker to turn the coffee maker on or off. There's the bottom surface with rubber feet to keep it secure on the table, and then you have your power cord. So this is a sketch of the design. This is part of our analysis, and the big part is labeling all the components that make up this product. Again, all this was done for you, so I want you to investigate these, make sure you know what these parts are, what they're doing. There's some internal parts that I'm going to skip. This interface is a little confusing. There's a water tube right here. There's the filter and the grounds. The water reservoir is back here. Here's the lid. So what we need to do now, if you notice, right here we have our black box model. This is our black box. The coffee maker is doing something. We know what it's doing, but we don't know how. We don't know the process inside that allows it to do this. We need to investigate inputs and outputs of the system, the coffee maker. So I want you guys to watch this video that shows the coffee maker during operation, how to use it. Alright, so again, that was the coffee maker in operation, right? I want you to now, you need to fill in this aspect of your worksheet. You need to look at what inputs were given to the coffee maker. What things did I add? What did I do? What went into the system? Also focus on outputs. We'll talk about that more in a sec. The product function, this will actually be very, very similar to the purpose of your product. What is the goal of all these inputs? What is it doing with it in order to create these outputs? So I want you to watch again the coffee maker in operation. Notice what's being inputted. That looks like an input to the system. Looks like another input into this system. You can consider those things an input into the system, and then right there is another input. Also think about how is it functioning. Well, the cord is useful to allow it to function. I want you to jot down all of those inputs to the system. Then I need you to write the function. Again, I gave you a hint. This is going to be very similar to the purpose. The function is, what does it do with these things and what's it creating? Then you need to focus specifically on outputs. So we have another video of the coffee maker in operation. So I want you to watch this video and think about, we just inputted all these things and turned it on. It's operating. What outputs are being created? Alright, so it's a little anticlimactic. Obviously, this is a key output, right? But there's also something coming out here that looked to me like an output, something coming out of the system. There's actually another one. If you think about using your ears, there was another output to this system. So I need you guys to make sure you have this filled in. What did you input to this system? What is it doing with those inputs? It's very similar to the purpose, the goal, overall goal, and then specifically list the outputs that were made. I also want you to then transition. You need to write, give me a step-by-step operation. Think about writing a user manual. Tell someone how you should use this coffee maker to successfully brew coffee. Now, this is not as easy as you might think. You can't just say add water and coffee and turn on lid. Well, where do I add the water? How much water? How much coffee? Do I mix them together or do they go in separate spots? What do I do after I mix them? How do I make it get hot? Right? You need to think about, say a child that's trying to follow your steps. They can only do the simplest tasks. You need to list those in order so that someone would successfully brew coffee. Again, refer to this video. This would be very helpful to visualize the steps needed to produce coffee and to operate this. You need to give me your step-by-step instructions. Then the last thing is a hypothesis for how it works. We're going to go back to this black box model. Right here, you've told me how inputs to the system are used to do something and create the output that you want. We just said what it's doing. We didn't explain how, what's really going on inside. That's what I want you to do down here. You need to take your hypothesis, or excuse me, your product function, and try to blow that up and dig into detail. Okay, you said it took in water and coffee, or excuse me, water and coffee grounds to brew hot coffee. Well, wait, how is it brewing the coffee? How does it get the water hot? How does the heating element make heat? How does it mix the two? How does it dispense the two? Think about internally what you think is going on and write me a description hypothesizing how this function is accomplished. This should be at least 2 sentences, but if not a short paragraph where you give me an explanation, give me some detail on how this works. Your best guess for how the coffee maker is actually accomplishing its goal. Then we're going to stop at that point right here. You guys should have all completed this along with me. Again, refer to 2.2.3 on my PLTW or following along with me as I go through it in this video. This document you should have completed. This I need you to submit onto Google Classroom. That's an in-class assignment, so this needs to be turned in before you leave class today. The rest of class, I want you to get a jump start on your homework. It's pretty straightforward. What I'm asking you to do is accomplish your own functional analysis. You're going to repeat the same process that we just went through using these steps for 2.2.3. We went through the coffee maker functional analysis together. This time, on your own, I want you to create a copy of this document, and I want you to pick your own product. Now be careful when you pick a product. Don't pick a car engine. That's much too complex to be able to do a proper functional analysis. There's too many inputs, too many subsystems, too many parts, and too many varied outputs. So you want to think of something a little more simple that will allow you to do a proper functional analysis. What a good example that I think of is like a click pen. Might sound too easy, but there's actually a lot going on. Whatever product you pick, you can take apart and disassemble as long as it's non-destructive. Meaning if you can easily take the part or the assembly apart to look at what components are inside, by all means. But if you can't or don't want to risk it, please don't. Like a pen, you can easily unscrew, look at the parts, and put it together, no problem. If not, like the coffee maker, we can look inside some parts, but we can't actually take it apart to see all the individual pieces. So you want to pick something fairly straightforward, not too simple. It needs to have at least 2 parts that interact and move as a part of an assembly. Again, we're in assembly design, but not too complicated. This will allow you to actually do a successful functional analysis, especially since we're still learning it. What you need to do is go through all these steps, fill out this table for your product of your choice, right? Instead of having the product sketched and labeled for you, you need to accomplish that for me. You need to use your engineering notebook, ideally an isometric graph paper, which you have in your notebook. Otherwise, I've attached a copy that you could print, or you could use a normal sheet of paper, that's fine. This will just help draw and sketch better. You need to sketch the component and label as many parts as you can see and identify. Identifying them is important so that when you complete this step, inputs, outputs, operation, and hypothesis, you can refer to specific components because you've just created a sketch and labeled them and told me what they're called. Then I can look at your sketch and interpret your functional analysis and know what you are talking about and what you're describing. Again, you're going to then finish this document and do a functional analysis for the product of your choosing. This needs to again be uploaded back to Classroom, same as we did for the functional analysis. This is due today before you leave. It's an in-class assignment. The homework is due before you come to class next time. All right, so you have the rest of class to work on this, maybe even get it done. You can pick objects around the room, objects you have in your bag, but it needs to be some simple assembly that you interact with that produces a known output and has a specific function. Again, draw a sketch, label all the components, and then fill out the functional analysis template. You need to submit both pieces to Google Classroom. So you could take a picture of your drawing with your MacBook camera and upload that into Classroom submission. Near the end of class, you can confirm with the sub. If you have completed this and finished it, you just need a picture. You can get permission from them to get your phone out and just take a picture if that's easier, and then upload that to your assignment on Google Classroom. But again, I need you to be working on this or other homework if you'd like. You could do other work. This is just due before you come to class next time. So you have the rest of class to work on this. It should be pretty straightforward, especially after going through an example together with you, doing the coffee maker to show you, to kind of model how this process works. Again, be mindful of the product you choose. It needs to be something simple and straightforward, but it needs to have at least two parts that interact that you use to produce the function of the product. So again, this is your functional analysis of the coffee maker. We did together. It's due by the end of class into Google Classroom. Your homework, again, you have time to work on the rest of class, and you need to get this done before we come to class next time. The rest of time in class, you have time to work on other homework if you'd like. Otherwise, you would need to confirm with the sub if they allow you to get your phones out once you've shown that you've actually completed all your work.